All right, guys, today we have more PlayStation info to go over and talk about. So if you could do me a favor and hit that like button before we dive into it, I'd really appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button as well if you're new to the channel here. But I just want to remind everybody that Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition is now free to redeem and download, whether you are subscribed to PlayStation Plus or not. This is, again, part of the Play at Home initiative. And because it's the complete edition, you do get the Frozen Wilds expansion with it. So certainly a lot of content to be getting for free. I mean, if you haven't played this game yet, you definitely need to take some time to at least try it out. It is unfortunate that if you do want to play it on the PlayStation 5, this is one of the few big PS4 exclusives that did not get a 60 FPS update. A lot of people have been asking for it, and some are still anticipating it. Maybe that's something Guerrilla Games will do. I would assume if they were going to, they would have announced it by now, so I'm not holding out hope, but you never know. They might surprise us. We kind of saw that happen with Ratchet & Clank last month, but yeah, this is free to redeem for quite some time. I think it's going to be until May 14th, so again, that's, you know, practically a whole month that you have to download this game and give it a try. I think that this is Sony's way of trying to get people hyped for Horizon Forbidden West, because we're probably going to be learning a lot more about Forbidden West in the next 2 to 3 months, and I'm very excited about that. So there you go. One last thing I do want to mention to you as well before we move on to the next topic in regards to the Play at Home initiative is that Sony seems to be teasing over on the PlayStation blog, where they were, reminding everybody about this offer with Horizon, that they're going to be doing more. You want to stay tuned. They're going to have more Play at Home content drops coming later on. So I don't know what those are going to be, but I'm very excited. I think more people need to kind of give Sony a little bit of credit here, where we're always hearing about Game Pass and the value proposition that Microsoft is offering and how good of a deal it is, but Sony's over here literally handing out free games. I mean, they're giving out Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition for free on top of Ratchet & Clank, on top of 9 other titles, right? So, just saying it's something that they're doing, and I think it's worth recognizing and acknowledging. But we're going to move on from that and talk a little bit about Resident Evil Village. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because many of you, or at least some of you, should remember when we talked about this game. I believe it was in August of 2020. There were a lot of rumors going around that apparently the PS5 version was struggling to run at 1080p 60 frames per second. And this was something that the media ran with. In fact, I have an article that was written up here on August 9th, 2020 from WCCF Tech that's titled PS5 to cost more than Xbox Series X while struggling more with multi-platform games and performance, says Insider. Now, if you remember, I did cover this at length. I had a whole 20-minute video dedicated to going over this info and saying that, look, we really have no way of knowing as to whether or not this is true, because this was before we knew everything about these consoles. But I did say that, to me, this sounds very unbelievable. It just doesn't sound true. The PS5, even back in August, we knew was a beast. And so I'm happy to let you guys know, with Resident Evil Village just being a few weeks away at this point, that according to Digital Foundry, Resident Evil Village actually appears to reach 60 frames per second most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, on PlayStation 5 with ray tracing enabled. Now, Capcom previously stated that the game would run at 45 frames per second on the PS5 and Series X when ray tracing was enabled. And so it is worth noting that it does drop that low sometimes. It's basically an unlocked frame rate, but not only does the game run at 4K 60 frames per second if you want ray tracing turned off, but when you do turn it on, it'll still most of the time run at 60 frames per second. So a pretty far cry from the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that was being spread with these ridiculous rumors about the PS5 being, so difficult to develop for, that this was going to be a problem. And I didn't believe it for a second. I really didn't. It didn't make sense to me. Everything we had been hearing about the PS5 is, up until that point, was how easy it was to develop for, how developer friendly it was, how similar to the previous architecture it was. So it's not easy to or it's not hard to, wrap your head around, and it's very easy for developers to just kind of get their games up and running on it. It's also worth noting that the load times apparently in Resident Evil Village on the PS5 are 2 seconds. which is extremely impressive. So this is yet another game where we're seeing some really practical and tangible beneficial results from the SSD and just the IO throughput in the PS5 really benefiting with those load times. So yeah, you guys know I have been trying to explain for some time why the PS5 is a great console, and I'm sure that anybody who has played games on the PS5, they will tell you, like, if you go play a game, whether it's a multi-platform game that's upgraded for the PS5 or an exclusive on the PS5, they'll all tell you the same thing. They look and they run fantastic. You know, they're just great. So Resident Evil Village is no different here. Just had to take a moment here to let everybody know that if you were one of the people, because apparently there was a lot of them, okay, or at least some people who were worried that this was actually a real problem, you don't have to worry, because the PS5 is a beast, and not only is it running this game at 4K 60, but it's doing so with ray tracing and hitting that 60 FPS most of the time. So really good stuff. I want to see more of that as we go further into this generation. But now we're going to move on and talk a little bit about Returnal, because I do want to let you guys know that the trophies have apparently leaked out, and I'm not going to reveal anything that's like a spoiler here, but I think there's actually some information here that some of you might find interesting, because I think that some people are still very unsure about this game. And one thing I can tell you is that apparently this will not be a very difficult game to platinum, which I think is appealing to a certain extent to some people. So it says Returnal's PS5 trophies have been revealed, with the full list being published. And overall, it looks like it's achievable, but slightly grindy. It says the trophy list, which stands at 31 trophies in total. So 7 gold trophies, 5 silver, and 18 bronze. Has a lot of your standard roguelike tropes, such as defeating all the bosses, dying for the first time, and upgrading your various persistent progression systems. So all things, you know, we knew we were going to be doing in this game anyway. But where the difficulty and potential grindy stuff looks to come in with the trophies are the ones that require you to see all of Celine's narrative sequences, focused on the house, and finishing the surveys for each area of the game, which we presume to mean scanning all the items in the environment, finding all the bonuses and abilities, and defeating every type of enemy. Pile onto that the fact that roguelikes are notoriously tricky and require a fair bit of repeat playing, and you could be looking at a trophy list that takes you, you know, quite a while to actually get. So it doesn't seem like it's like based on difficulty, like raw skill per se. Maybe to an extent it will, but it's really just about, you know, rinse and repeat with some of the you know, some of the trophies you're going to want to try to go for. So all in all, I'm very excited for Returnal, guys. Like, I'm going to be talking about this game a lot when it comes out. I know it seems like I haven't been talking about it enough, but it's because I'm ready. You know, like, I've seen enough of the game. I'm sold on it. At this point, I'm just patiently waiting for it to drop so I can stream it with you guys, play it, let you know what I think of it, and hopefully have a really, really good time with it. I'm really liking everything I'm seeing and hearing about Returnal. So it does help that it's apparently not going to be an extremely difficult platinum, because this is a game I would like to platinum. Now, I want to end this video just by letting you know that more talent who had previously left PlayStation has actually come back to PlayStation. This is something we've been kind of seeing recently. First, we saw it with Insomniac Games with Drew Murray, and now we're seeing it again with a Naughty Dog developer. So Sean E is what I will call him, because I certainly cannot pronounce his last name. The director of the critically acclaimed spin-off Uncharted: The Lost Legacy has rejoined Naughty Dog. The industry veteran left The Last of Us maker to lead development on Marvel's Avengers, but has announced on Twitter today that he has returned to the kennel as a creative director and writer. And so, you know, again, I wanted to highlight this because this is kind of something we've seen ever since the PlayStation 5 launched, which is more developers who were previously with PlayStation and, you know, for whatever reason, they maybe wanted to leave and go try something else, and now they're actually returning. I can't say I'm surprised specifically with this developer, considering they were, you know, they directed, well, they did direct Uncharted Lost Legacy, which is good. So they obviously have a lot of experience at Naughty Dog, but, you know, they were leading development on the Avengers, and we saw what happened with that game. So, yeah, I can't really blame them, honestly, for wanting to kind of return to PlayStation. But I think that's good. You know, it's always good to see more talent return. It'll be interesting to see if we start to see more developers who left Sony recently actually make their return. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. Be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Again, leave it a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.